Mr. Patel, did Unilever ever advertise on the Daily Wire? Have you guys ever advertised there?
Not sure if we've ever advertised, and I don't know the answer to that.
Mr. Julian, the companies you represent ever advertise on the Daily Wire?
Not that I know. Not that I know of, but if they wanted to, we would happily do it.
If they wanted to, but you don't know that any of them have? Yeah. Is it like I think, what did he just say, 50 million viewers over the past 90 days? What did Mr. Nadler say at the front end? He said like 13 million followers that they have. I mean, there's a real audience there. What would you say your target group is, 18 to 48-year-old women, Mr. Patel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Shapiro, you got any 18 to 48-year-old women who, of those 50 million people watching your stuff, or those 13 million followers, any of them 18 to 48-year-old women?
Again, according to our latest statistics, about 65% of my listeners are between ages 18 and 44, and about a quarter of them are women.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big number. I mean, you guys advertise, did any of the companies you represent, Mr. Jewell, advertise at, say, the Washington Post?
Yes?
Do you advertise on The View?
Yes?
Mr. Patel? Same question?
We tend to invest less than 1% on any news.
No, that wasn't the question. Do you advertise on The View? Do you advertise in Washington Post? Any left-leaning program or platforms out there? Do you advertise there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you do advertise there, but you got a huge market here you don't.
I guess since Jim Jordan doesn't have any bills to write, he's decided to try his hand at generating some ad dollars for conservative podcasts. We're talking House Republicans worrying about media outlets that support their lies on this watch list.
Do you advertise on Fox, Breitbart, or the Daily Wire, just to be clear again?
We have a partnership with Fox at its total level.
What does that mean?
So Fox is one of our strategic partners for sports and everything else.
Okay. Do you advertise on Fox News?
No, sir.
No, not on Fox News, okay. And do you advertise in Breitbart?
No, sir.
And do you advertise on the Daily Wire?
No, sir.
Mr. Jewell, same questions. Do you advertise on Fox News, Breitbart, or the Daily Wire? Not Fox Sports.
We have a large partnership with Fox News.
You do? Okay, some of your people do. Some of the clients you represent advertise there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we have an ongoing dialogue with Murdoch's and Fox on a regular basis.
What about Breitbart and Daily Wire?
They have not reached out to us directly to have a conversation.
Okay. Well, you'd welcome that. If Mr. Shapiro wanted to reach out to you, and
Of course.
you'd welcome that. Okay, that's good to know, because the guy who you just fired, it sounds like Mr. Montgomery, said that they should be blocking Fox, blocking the Daily Wire, and blocking Breitbart. But now you want to reach out to him. That's good. Okay.
We're open to having dialogues with anybody. Again, GARM doesn't decide where the money spends. We don't decide where the money spends. Our clients decide. It's their budgets. They decide if that can help grow their audience.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Why does Jim Jordan always seem like he's surprised by the answers he gets that don't facilitate the objective that he sets out to illustrate? He called these witnesses to Congress in hopes of giving some solace to Ben Shapiro's concerns about advertising dollars not going to conspiratorial right-wing shows.
We're in the midst of a trust crisis in the world of media, which is because so many in the legacy media have lied in order to preserve left-leaning narratives. To take just the most recent example, we were told by the legacy media that President Biden was just fine. For years, anyone who questioned his health and mental fitness was trafficking in cheap fakes. And then President Biden went out and engaged in a full-scale mental collapse on stage in front of hundreds of millions of people. So we can see why Americans, at least Americans who are not Democrats, do not trust the media. The question isn't really why the legacy media have lost Americans' trust. We know that answer. The question is why, despite that loss of trust, the legacy media continue to gain share in the advertising market. And the answer is simple. There is, in fact, an informal pressure system created by Democratic legislators, this White House, legacy media, advertisers, and pseudo-objective brand safety organizations. That system guarantees that advertising dollars flow only to left-wing media brands.
These lines are similar to the ones politicians use to legitimize their points, where they just claim the American people believe exactly what they're advocating for or against in hopes that enough people will feel like they're not in the majority opinion and then they'll change their minds. So Shapiro took his narrative about advertisers that avoid outlets that engage in propaganda even further.
It's time to stand up for the First Amendment in this Congress. Congress can do so in two ways. First, Congress must investigate the informal and perhaps formal arrangements between censorship cartels like GARM and executive branch agencies. The Daily Wire has already filed a federal lawsuit against the State Department for allegedly doing just this. Second, Congress can itself stop engaging in violation of free speech principles. 2 weeks ago, writing a dissent in Murphy versus Missouri, Justice Alito condemned what he called sophisticated and coercive government campaigns against free speech. Members of this committee have engaged in precisely such campaigns.
So instead of acknowledging the rate of purposeful disinformation many of these outlets engage in, Shapiro calls their sometimes dishonest discussions a simple case of free speech. Again, to paint a picture of an oppressive government that's actually concerned with the very real impact that spreading false information has on people's beliefs and actions.
We all know what these government actors, what some people in this room, are doing. You're using the tacit threat of government action to compel private companies to throttle viewpoints you don't particularly like. The First Amendment was not designed to enable workarounds by elected officials. It was directed at Congress, at you, and you're abdicating your fundamental duty when you exert pressure on private companies to censor speech. Some in this room have been doing just that for years. We in the non-legacy media have been feeling the effects. In the name of the Constitution and in the name of democracy, this should stop.
We like to ignore that there are actual facts regarding the topics that the tons of pundits and politicians discuss. And once Kellyanne Conway admitted back in 2016 that an entire administration relies on alternative facts to maneuver through the world, blatant liars that set their agenda on pursuing particular ideology, regardless of the facts, were inspired. Before that, people like Sean Hannity dominated this field.
Credit to the American people that they're somewhat intelligent and that they know the difference between an opinion show and a news show.
Yeah.
You're cynical. Look at that. Yeah.
I am cynical because,
You think we're bad for America? You think
Yeah.
I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you
Really?
and all these opinion
That's
shows.
sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
Because you're very good at what you do, and because you have attracted a significantly
You
more
are selling the
influential.
American
let me
people
finish
short.
Let me finish the sentence
I'm
before
listening.
you do that.
With all due respect. Take
You
the floor.
have attracted people who are determined that ideology is more important than facts.
So now that nearly anyone can start a podcast and build an audience, competition grows and lies are more readily tossed around to attract people willing to believe them. And when those lies sometimes advance the narratives that politicians like Jim Jordan and James Comer need promoted, they're all about protecting the existence of the outlets that assist them. I mean, they're kind of bad at the theatrics by themselves.
Mr. Chairman, I just got past something that the whole obstruction gimmick may just be a fundraising ploy, which demeans the overwhelming legal integrity and impressive theatrical ambitions of this enterprise. I was just handed a mass fundraising email solicitation for your campaign that you sent out this evening, Mr. Chairman, stating that, quote, Biden and his advisors are terrified that I will release the recordings, forcing the media and Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. This could be the final blow to Biden with swing voters across the country. The Democrats are pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. Signed, James Comer, Chairman, House Oversight Committee. Now, I must confess my disappointment to be handed this fundraising solicitation, signed by you as chairman of the House Oversight Committee. I thought that you were serious about the legal enterprise here and not just another political huckster calling hearings to score cheap political points and to make a buck.
Damn near all politicians fundraise off of moments where their name is in the spotlight. But to use congressional resources to gin up useless investigations for the sake of artificially advancing their careers has become the norm.
I would like to do a spirited reading of the campaign email sent out by the chairman. And it's on lovely stationery. In fact, it says, from the desk of the oversight chairman. I'm not sure you can do that, but I'm not an ethics expert. It says, friend. President Biden is exerting executive privilege in a last-ditch attempt to stop the disastrous audio recording of his interview with special counsel from being released. And it's highlighted in yellow. Want to make sure people saw that. Just a few months ago, the White House bragged that Joe Biden had nothing to hide and would not exert executive privilege during special counsel Hur's investigation. They even said he had nothing to hide. That's in italics. Now Biden and his advisors are terrified that I, James Comer, will release the recordings, forcing the media and the Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. He even had attorney Merrick Garland write a letter saying that his interview falls within the scope of executive privilege. This could be the final blow with swing voters across the country. Okay. The Democrats are pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. That means coming after me with everything they had. If you're able, we hope you are, I'd be so grateful if you'd consider making a donation to my campaign. I sure need it to defend against the onslaught of attacks.
Turns out the concern was never about Biden's mental state, but advancing James Comer's political career off of the story of Biden's age. And getting back to the concern that Republicans are blocked off from advertisers, there's plenty of companies that can probably only put their ads on conservative media, like this one.
This $2 bill features President Trump's mugshot. Donald J. Trump makes history once again by becoming the first former president of the United States to ever be criminally indicted. The powers that be have made good on their threats to get him by indicting him 4 times. On Thursday, August 24th, 2023, President Trump was formally arraigned in Fulton County, Georgia, and this moment in history created the first mugshot of a United States president. In the photo, President Trump displays a furrowed brow and a determined gaze, showing he's ready to fight. He says he will never surrender. Whether or not you are a supporter of the 45th president, there's no doubting the historic importance of this photo. That's why National Collectors Mint has taken crisp, uncirculated U.S. legal tender $2 bills direct from sealed Treasury packs, then enhanced them to commemorate this event. The mugshot seen round the world is front and center in the portrait oval, flanked by images of the flag and President Trump's famous signature. His inmate number is inscribed below the photo, and his declaration, "Never Surrender," is boldly presented on the bill. The final issue price was to be set at $39. However, during this special release, this full-color commemorative $2 bill can be yours for only $19.95, protected by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Each full-color bill comes complete with a certificate of authenticity in a collector's portfolio for preservation and protection. There is a strict limit of 5 bills per caller. First come, first served, so earliest orders receive priority over later ones. So hurry, don't delay. Now you can reserve your own colorized Trump mugshot $2 bill. Avoid disappointment and future regret.